This is Doug Lindsay with Autofocus Cars and Vids, and in this video we're going to talk about pre-purchase inspections. My first video was a 5,000 mile review of a 2014 Boxster S, and one of the comments I got was a question about pre-purchase inspections. I'm not a pre-purchase inspection expert, but I approach life and problems like a scientist and a journalist, and that means I'm always trying to figure out what information I need to make a wise decision and to truly understand things. And that's how I approach the pre-purchase inspection process. So today I'm going to walk you through 3 reports from the Lemon Squad, and we will then see how I got the info I needed to make a wise decision. The Lemon Squad is not a sponsor of this. They just happen to be the company I used, and they were about $240 a report. They have a lower report that's like $180, but this one was for exotics and such. I wanted someone who understood complicated performance cars to come check it out, and that's what they were going to provide. So the Lemon Squad report has a template. It's got a main picture, it's got a short report, then it's got sections, suspension, interior, exterior. We'll walk through the report in just a moment. And then it has a series of photos, several dozen photos that let you see parts of the car. After the report comes the sections with the checklist: basic vehicle information, information on the exterior, interior, mechanical, information from the road test, info on the tires and wheels. When this is done, come the photographs. And then 2 of the 3 reports I had sort of a table of contents at the end identifying what each photo was. One of them didn't. When I called the company to sort of mention that, they basically said, we've given you more pictures than promised, so we overperformed in both reports, even though they're different. So, fair enough. So the first report was for a blue Boxster S. This report was actually pretty vague. Overall, a decent vehicle. That was the conclusion he reached. The problems were how the car had held up. Basically, there were pieces that will require paint repair. One was a panel, others had already been repainted, and both front headlamp lenses are cloudy at the very top of each lens. So I had to learn about paint to realize that this car had been repainted in pieces. So this is what the headlamps look like. This is how oxidized they were. This was the paint down to 1 mil. Now 1 mil is 1/1000th of an inch of paint. 4 to 5 is normal from the factory roughly. And so when you're seeing 7s, it's probably been repainted if the panel next to it is a 5 like this. And when you're seeing 1s, that means there's a lot of wear on the paint. And then there was the top. This top is awfully worn. And so when you put together the bad paint, the top, and the headlights, you see that this car had been baked in the sun. Now the top's over $2,000. Each headlight replaced is over $2,000. So that's 6. Once you throw in installation costs and the body work, maybe you're pushing $10,000 worth of flaws. They showed up in these photos, but they didn't really get mentioned sufficiently in the report itself. And so I got lucky because good processes yield good results. And because I didn't trust my level of expertise to catch everything, I turned to people who had more information and more experience than I did to review this. That's how I was able to figure out that this car had 10 grand worth of problems, so I left it and moved on. The second report was for an agate gray Boxster S as well. This one had black rims and a gray interior. This car was a lot cleaner car, but it still needed body panels to be painted, and it needed new tires. This guy's report was less thorough. It didn't include any paint depth information. You can see these 2 are big enough that door is going to need to be repainted. This is important. This is what the headlights are supposed to look like. And this is what it looked like on the blue car. I know it's an awkward angle, but you can see the level of oxidation compared to how clear it is and how it's supposed to be. And it's the same with the top. This is a convertible top that's in pretty good shape, even though this car had 10,000 more miles. It's just dusty, and this is one that's beat up. So I didn't buy this gray car because I didn't trust the dealership. They wouldn't give me any warranty, and I just didn't feel right about it. The third report was also for an agate gray Boxster S. This one was certified pre-owned with a tan interior. The problems he saw were that the rear tires were worn and the navigation system rebooted 3 times during inspection. And the front bumper and hood had been repainted. You could see 4.48 mils on one body panel, 4.68 mils on an adjacent body panel, and 9.7 on the hood. That's how he was able to show that the car had been repainted on the hood. His conclusion, overall, a pre-owned Porsche that drove well but needs a once-over by a technician. That was helpful. In the photo, it looks just like all the other ones, frankly. In this photo, the top looks quite good. It took this photo to show that, yeah, the top really was in better shape than the other cars. This was a clean car. So in the end, I had these 3 reports. I had passed on the first car because of the report. I passed on the second car because the dealership wouldn't offer any kind of warranty or stand behind the car, and it just seemed too big a risk. And the third car had, when I put the CarFax side by side with the pre-purchase inspection, it left me with enough questions that, just like with that first blue Porsche, I needed more info. And that got me, worrying, am I just digging too deeply? Am I going to find a problem with every car because nothing's perfect? The first, the dealer was able to settle. The satellite radio people were doing a firmware update, but the other 2 pieces, Alex at RP Exotics was able to help me. So I turned to 3 people, to my uncle, who's used the Lemon Squad for an out-of-state car purchase, but who's also owned over 200 cars in his life. I also turned to the paint shop that the Porsche dealership uses here in St. Louis, and I talked to them. And the third was Alex from RP Exotics. This is the consignment auto dealer that I used to ship the car to me. Both dynamic transmission mounts had been replaced. This is part of the Sport Chrono package that's supposed to make everything tighten up for good handling when you use Sport Plus or Sport Mode. And these things had gone sour at less than 17,000 miles, so that was disconcerting. I said, look, those things sometimes fail, it's not that big a deal. If they've both been replaced, they're probably fine. It doesn't show that the car is a lemon overall. And as far as the hood respraying, maybe push them, see if they'll knock a little bit of money off. But if it's well done and the car looks good, okay. So that's how I handled it, is I got the report that it contained both objective and subjective information, and then through online reading and through talking to people more experienced than me, I was able to make sure I had the context I needed to pull the trigger. So if you're still watching, give this video a like. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. I'm new at this, I'm having fun. I hope you're learning something, and the next video should be on, do summer tires work in the winter? I know people say you got to change them. Do you really have to change them? Well, we're going to see. So, till next time, this is Doug Lindsay from Autofocus Cars and Vids. That should be enough to work with.